Welcome to FinStechs from Laura and Anthony.
Hi, everyone.
So get ready, because the latest whispers around Apple suggest they're cooking up a new headset.
Yeah, and what's really catching attention is the buzz about it being, well, potentially far more accessible than their current Vision Pro.
Exactly. The reports we've been sifting through really seem to point towards that a new headset with a clear focus on, let's say, approachability.
It definitely makes you think about their strategy, especially after the initial Vision Pro launch, right?
Totally. So let's unpack what these reports are indicating about this potential new device. The name floating around is Visionaire.
Visionaire. Yeah, that name itself kind of gives a clue, doesn't it? Suggests a lighter focus.
It really does. And the core aim we're hearing about is just that, something lighter and crucially more budget-friendly than the original Vision Pro.
And this is all happening even with, well, what some reports are calling kind of underwhelming sales for that first very expensive model.
Right. The time frame that keeps popping up for this potential Visionaire seems to be late 2025, maybe stretching into early 2026.
Okay, so how are they planning to make it lighter? That's the big question.
Yeah.
One really interesting angle is the reported use of titanium components.
Titanium. But isn't that denser than the aluminum they usually use?
Well, yes, technically it is denser. You've got titanium around 4.4 grams per cubic centimeter versus aluminum's 2.7, but.
There's a but.
There's a but. It's significantly stronger. So the idea is you can use less of it, thinner structural parts that are still incredibly robust.
Okay, that makes sense. Stronger material means you don't need as much bulk.
Exactly. We've seen some chatter, reliable word is, suggesting they'll use titanium to reduce weight, possibly in things like the connectors, maybe the battery housing.
Oh, interesting. Specific parts then, not the whole shell.
Seems like it. The same source mentioned that most of the outside would be still aluminum, but maybe with a different finish. We can get to that.
Gotcha. So this clever use of titanium, even just for some internal structures, could actually shave off a decent amount of weight.
Potentially, yeah. Some estimates are throwing around maybe a 10, even 20% reduction just from thinning out those structural walls thanks to the titanium.
And this is where it gets really interesting for you listening, because honestly, one of the biggest gripes about the original Vision Pro was just the sheer heft.
Absolutely. That feeling of weight, the neck strain some people reported after longer use, it was a definite hurdle.
So tackling the weight directly could be a massive selling point for this Air version.
For sure. And focusing that pricier titanium on specific internal structures, that sounds like a very Apple way to balance performance, the weight saving, with, cost effectiveness.
It really fits their whole Air product philosophy too, doesn't it? Like the MacBook Air, the iPad Air.
Exactly. Prioritizing lateness, portability, making it easier to handle and use, but without gutting the core functionality. It feels like a clear strategic move for their whole spatial computing push.
Okay, so lighter, possibly cheaper. What about how it looks? You mentioned the finish.
Yeah, another little nugget from the reports is a potential new color option, midnight blue.
Midnight blue. Okay, different from the current silver look.
Right. The description sounds like a very dark, almost graphite dark blue, maybe with a slightly bluish black appearance. Think maybe back to the iPhone 5 era black, that kind of vibe.
Interesting. So it's still aluminum mostly on the outside, but with this new dark finish.
That's the word. Again, attributed to the same source, hinting at the titanium, it suggests a distinct visual identity.
That could definitely appeal to a different crowd, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more understated, less shiny.
Potentially, yeah. Professionals, maybe, or just users who prefer something less conspicuous. We've seen Apple do this before, using color to differentiate lines, like the sky blue on the newer MacBook Airs.
Good point. It's a design strategy.
Totally. This new color, if it happens, wouldn't just be cosmetic. It'd be a clear visual signal. This is the Visionaire, distinct from the premium Vision Pro. It helps position it in the lineup.
So, lighter, new color. What else is creating buzz? I've heard talk about the timeline maybe being pushed up.
Yes, there's definitely chatter about an accelerated development cycle. That late 2025 to early 2026 window seems primary, but some reports hint they might even be aiming for earlier within that range.
Wow, okay. So they're really pushing on this.
It suggests Apple is pretty committed to getting this spatial computing platform established, Even if the first version had its challenges, they seem determined to build momentum.
Makes sense. Don't let the initial hurdles slow down the overall vision, so to speak.
Precisely. And it raises interesting thoughts about their broader product strategy for, say, 2025.
How so?
Well, there's some speculation, pure speculation at this point, mind you, but maybe a coordinated launch. Could we see this Visionaire launch alongside other Air products?
Oh, like a refresh of the MacBook Air with M4, maybe an iPhone 17 Air, an M3 iPad Air, a whole suite of lighter devices.
It's a compelling thought, isn't it? A big push on that Air concept across the board.
That would certainly make a statement.
Absolutely. So if you pull all these threads together, the potential lower price, the focus on reducing weight with titanium, the new look, the possibly faster timeline.
It really looks like a direct response to the main criticisms of the original Vision Pro, the weight and the cost.
Exactly. Address those head on to attract a much broader audience and really kickstart momentum for their spatial computing ambitions, specifically with these lighter devices.
Okay, so just to quickly recap for everyone listening, the big news is whispers of potentially lighter, maybe more affordable Apple headset, possibly called Visionaire.
Key things to watch are that clever use of titanium for weight reduction, maybe 10–20% lighter,
And a potential new midnight blue color for a different look.
with the launch window looking like late 2025 or into early 2026, maybe even sooner if the acceleration talk is right.
It's pretty fascinating to see them potentially pivot or adjust course this quickly based on feedback.
It really is. It signals they're serious about this category long term and willing to adapt to get it right for more people.
Definitely something to keep a close eye on.
Yeah.
All right, that gives you a good sense of what the reports are suggesting right now.
Indeed. Lots of potential shifts on the horizon for Apple's headset plans.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.